Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It is CoachFury here today, and we are back with our Let's Play series of the Chicago Bulls in Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 21. Well, we've got through the first season after a fantastic postseason run which saw us get to the Eastern Conference Finals to be bumped by the Milwaukee Bucks. We went through the off-season. I think the draft was pretty weak. We managed to pick up probably a good value pickup in the draft. And then in free agency, we managed to add a couple of key depth pieces and key pieces of need, really. So we are at the start of the season, episode 13. Unlucky for some, but hopefully not for this ball side during our second season here. And you'll see, hopefully, I've changed the initial launch thumbnail, as you can see, to try and reinvigorate the Chicago Bulls side. A lot of the players that we actually had on the original image are no longer with us, so it wasn't the right thing probably to leave them on there. So we've gone for a bit of a generic Bulls thumbnail for now. Maybe we'll change it up as we get players maybe that we want to keep and we build around and so on. But for now, we've gone with that. But let's dive straight into it, guys, and have a look and see what's going on. I mean, just been tweaking the rotation before I came on this episode, really, and I thought it'd be a good place to start to just talk about this, how we're going to line up to begin with, what strategies we're going to run, and then we'll probably put a couple of guys on the trade block, I think, and then we'll probably get cracking on the season. So first thing to point out is that our first round draft pick, Tony Jenkins, I have immediately sent him down to the D-League, and the reason being is that I want to see how his numbers look and maybe whether we need to make any adjustments on his shooting tendencies before we throw him into the pro game. And we can kind of afford to. We've got the likes of Payton, Bledsoe, White, Satoransky, all who can play the guard positions for us. So it gives us a chance to kind of let Jenkins find his feet to begin with, in my opinion. So we've put him down to the D-League. We've also put Hutchinson down to the D-League, who has got a year left with us, and he's going to need to be doing something sensational in that D-League to warrant being called up. I think when we had him last year, actually, his performances were not terrible. His shooting numbers were pretty good. So maybe that'll warrant him being called up. But for now, I've kind of put him down there. And then we go up to the top of the screen and we start talking about the starters. So no surprises that Elfrid Payton, our point guard, has gone in here as our starting point guard. Ball handling, passing. I'm not expecting much shooting ability off of him, but good handling ability. So that was our first free agency pickup. Our second free agency pickup has also gone into the starting lineup, and that is Gary Trent Jr. So we had him during the Summer League, performed exceptionally well for us in terms of his shooting numbers. So I'm going to give him a chance, to be perfectly honest with you. We've got him for 4 years. I think his shooting is going to be really, really valuable in terms of this team. And the reason why I say it's going to be valuable is because I'm going to stick with this front three that we had that done so well for us during the playoffs, in Clark, Carter, Jackson Jr., all starting, all playing minutes across the board there. I just think they just worked so well, and it was whilst we weren't that good on offense efficiency wise, I felt that was because we didn't have a good shooter and we turned the ball over a lot because we didn't have a good point guard. So I think we've addressed that now. So that's we're going to go with that and see how we get on. I think that could be the ticket to get us over the line and back into the playoffs in hopefully a better seed this time. And then what that means is that our bench is, in my opinion, is fairly strong now. We have obviously Bledsoe, who was our starting point guard last year. He's going to be playing off the bench primarily as a sort of a six-man, playing a bit of point guard, a bit of shooting guard, filling in those gaps really for us. And then we've got White, our initial starting point guard last year, who lost that position. He's going to come off the bench and play just shooting guard for us in limited minutes. I think he's still got room to kind of develop, as you can see there by his potential rating. But if I'm honest, I need those shooting numbers to be much better. If I can get him at 45%, 46% shooting, then he might get some more minutes. And then we've got supporting off the forward positions, we've got Patrick Williams. Again, really good defensive player, and I like the balance that we'll bring him on as a good defender, and we might lose a bit of shooting ability because of that. But I like the mix and match between him and Clark, whereas Clark is a sort of in your face, get to the hoop, inside shooting sort of forward at 6'8", good defender, and then we bring Williams in, who's not really like that. He does a bit mixture of shooting, bit of a good defender as well. kind of keeps that position a little bit different every time, so we get different types of looks there. And then we've got Birch as our main sort of supporting centre off the bench, another free agency pickup on a minimum deal. I just like the fact that he draws fouls, to be honest with you, and doesn't really do much else. He was incredibly efficient last year as well. You see here 57%. So I'm not looking for a great deal out of him other than some good shooting, ability to put the other team's front court players in foul trouble, and see where we go from there. And then we've got obviously Stevenson we picked up late as well as a minimum sort of deal. Just a shooter, to be honest with you, at this point. He can play a little bit of defense. Satoransky can play a bit of backup guard if we need him to. Young is obviously still here because he's on that crazy $14 million deal, but he's well down the rotation now. And then Gafford is kind of the defensive big. If we want to throw just a defender in the lineup, then we can do that. So that's how we're going to line up. In terms of the strategy, you'll see here that we've not really changed a great deal. We're going to go with a passive defense, a grind offense. I felt that worked fairly well for us during the postseason, so we'll keep that going certainly to begin with. So that's how we look. Let's take a little look at the league media, and in terms of the magazines and the season preview, and let's see where they've got us pegged in the conference. Oh, okay, interesting. So immediately we've got the Eastern Conference where they have the Hawks as the number 1 seed projected. Not really surprising considering they've got the likes of Collins and Young, two just premier young players. That kind of makes sense, and they've got shooting in Herter and Bogdanovic and a decent defensive centre in Capella. Then you've got the Brooklyn Nets, obviously without James Harden, because we started this before the James Harden trade. So again, not really surprising. Irving, Durant, and that lineup's pretty much what it was last season. Then the Bucks, who we lost to in the Eastern Conference Finals. Again, not much change from that team, to be honest with you. I think Monte Morris might be no, he's not a key addition. It doesn't say there, so that lineup hasn't really changed. Then surprisingly, actually, the Wizards, who have added Mario Harris and Alec Burks, and they've all of a sudden jumped to a 4th seed. Again, I'm guessing because they've got Beal and Westbrook in the backcourt. That's the only thing I can assume there. Then we've got the Raptors, who have picked up Kemba Walker. So interesting that Lowry and Kemba Walker have kind of swapped places in this Let's Play series. Bogdanovic was the key addition. Okay, be interesting to see how he does actually on a half-decent team. And then Jarrett Allen as well. Not many minutes in terms of output there, but I'd expect that to pick up for them. So, okay, then they've got the Celtics, who obviously picked up Kyle Lowry. Well, they think they traded for him in the season, then re-signed him in the off-season in free agency, but not much change out of there. I'm surprised the Celtics are so high, considering how poor I felt they were in the postseason last year. Then we've got the Magic, who have made actually quite a few changes. Marvin Bagley, Reggie Jackson, and Okoro. Not much change to the actual lineup though. And then we've got the Heat. We've picked up Damon Lee. That's the big addition for them, which has kind of put them in that position. Then the 76ers are actually very low as well. Just considering they've still got Embiid, Harris, and Simmons, that is surprising. I'd expect them to be higher. Then the Pacers, okay, they've lost a few players there. Then the Cavs, still, yeah, that's a terrible Cavs side. Then the Hornets, and then they've got us. So they reckon we are the 3rd from last team in this conference, which I honestly don't believe. And that lineup clearly is not the lineup we are going to run. And then they've got the Knicks. The Knicks actually should be higher. They were ranked 5th last year, and they haven't really lost a great deal other than Peyton, and they've managed to replace him with McRae, which is not too bad, to be honest with you. And then the Pistons. So let's have a quick look at the Western Conference. We've got Dallas, who added Harrell, so that is a good team. That is a very good team. I'm not sure Paul Millsap is actually going to play small forward for them though. If he is, that's a bit of a worry. Then the Suns, who Jabari Parker is actually going to start for the Suns. Okay, he couldn't even get into our rotation. He's going to start for the Suns. I can't see that happening, but I guess because they've lost Bridges, they do have a gap there. Then the Clippers have got that's just a really good team. Love is obviously clearly not a good defender anymore, but he can still score. Ibaka's still a fairly good defender. George, Leonard, yeah, that makes sense. Golden State, yeah, they're looking pretty good. Then the Pelicans, surprisingly. I mean, that's a good team on paper as well, actually. Ball, Levine, Williamson, Ingram, and Adams. That's pretty good. Then the Lakers are in there. Yeah, okay. Interesting. It's interesting to see how these teams are sort of ranked before we start the season, because I never quite agree with the rankings all the time. And then they've got the Spurs as the last team, which is kind of understandable. They're a bit of a rebuild team now. So that's how we're looking. Let's just check our inbox to see if we've got any interesting mail, which I don't think we have. We've got to assign some scouting points, which I've just checked that we've done that. Yeah, we have. We are just going to be purely focusing on the America region because all of the draftees, I believe, are American this year, which is, well, apart from a couple, so all the top ones are American. So we'll certainly just scout the American region through the season. Right. In terms of trades, I'm going to throw a couple of guys on the block early just to see if we can get any interest going on them. First one I'm going to throw up is going to be Thaddeus Young is clearly going to go on there. Satoransky is going to go on there. And obviously Hutchinson, I think that, and Gafford actually. Let's throw those guys on there and just see if we get anyone bite on them. But I believe that gives us a bit of a quick preview. Let's dive straight into some games, shall we? So we'll probably sim through the first month or so on this episode. Let's just try and bulk sim it and then do a bit of a recap. We will stop on action emails and we'll of course stop on any injuries. And we'll go to the 17th of November and see how we get on. But yeah, let's see how we get on. This is going to be interesting. Will we be a bottom seed as projected by the magazine, or can we surprise a few people and actually be a top performing team? I honestly think this team's going to be better than it looks on the magazine projection as we go off there with 2 wins on the bounce, 3 wins on the bounce to start off this season, 4 wins on the bounce. Not a bad start by this team. 5 wins on the bounce. A good early start to the season here. 6-0. We're in very good shape. But Jaren Jackson Jr. has suffered an injury. Oh no, please don't be a long one. Okay, he's only out for 11 days. So we will store that lineup because clearly that lineup is working, whatever we are doing there. So I think what we'll do is Birch will just come in, and for now we'll just put Gafford down there, and you'll just take all of those minutes, I believe. Gafford will just take your backup minutes, and we'll go with that for now. I think no point micromanaging the regular season too much unless it gets really tight later on. So we've got 11 days to recover with him. So let's get ourselves 11 days will take us to the 13th, and then we can obviously put our main rotation back together. But a very good start so far. We are 9-0 in this season. Did not expect it to be that good a start. So we've got another injury, this time to Wendell Carter Jr. So I guess we will put Young in for now, I think. And the backup minute will go to Williams, and then we'll just say Clark, just play some small forward there. That will work, I think. Same again, like that. And you need to take these minutes as well. So we've got 4 days to go with this. That'll take us to the 10th. And another win there. And Bledsoe suffered. Oh my goodness me. We started so well, but we've got some injuries. And Young is out for 7 days as well. Wow, these injuries are piling up. Bledsoe's out for 13 days. So I guess Satoransky will have to come in. White, if you take those minutes, Satoransky will take those point guard minutes. Wow, we're getting slowly decimated here early on. That good start for us is kind of biting us a little bit here. Good start, but lots of injuries. So that addresses that one. Young is probable. Okay, so Young can play. I think we'll just leave Young in for now, and we'll roll with that. So how long? So I think it was till the 10th until we started to get anyone really back. So let's carry on moving forward. I expect us to lose a game in a minute because we've just not got any players left. So we do have Wendell Carter Jr. back, which is good. So Wendell Carter Jr. can come straight back into the lineup. Nice, and then Birch can take his rotation minutes back off of Gafford. Gafford can go down the rotation. Young is still probable. We've not got anyone else injured at this point, so I think we will get Bledsoe back in 9 days, Jackson Jr. back in 2. So we'll move forward 2 days. And another, wow, okay, we are on a phenomenal start here to the season, I have to say. We've never had quite a good start like this, to be honest with you, not in any of these Let's Plays on this new game. So Carter Jr. is out again for 3 days, okay. So I'll just replace him with Jackson Jr., I think. That works for me. I don't know about you guys, but that certainly is not a bad replacement. So yeah, it's so important in this game to make sure you have depth. I mean, you can't go for a regular season in this game without getting injuries like this. If you just had an 8-man rotation that you felt was good enough, clearly it's at times it's going to just get completely messed up. So he's out for 3 days, 6 days. Jenkins we don't worry about. So we will go forward another 3 days, I think. Which actually does take us to the 17th, which is where we were planning to get to originally anyway. Okay, so Thaddeus Young is now injured, actually injured. We have been grinding him out for a little while. So who do we put in there? I think we just put Birch in, I think, is what I would suggest. So you go down the rotation. Birch just take all of those minutes. I mean, one thing I would like to see in a new game, I'll probably put a suggestion in, is just to see, you know, when you've messing around with rotations like this, it would be quite nice to just be able to just say, okay, I want to flip these guys around and just take his minutes. It would just save a lot of time like this when you're faffing around, to be honest with you. Try and get the rotation reset again, especially when you get this number of injuries. So we've got Young out for 14 days, Bledsoe's out for 5 days, Carter Jr.'s out for 2 days. Let's just carry on going a little bit more to the 17th and see how we get on. So Bledsoe's out for another 3 days. Carter Jr. is back, so you can certainly come straight back into the lineup. And we just flip these guys around. That means that, so Young is still out. We've obviously got to give Jackson Jr. back his minutes. And Birch will take back his minutes off of Gafford. There we go. Okay, I think that is good. So we actually, let's just double check when we've got guys coming back. Bledsoe's back in 3 days. Young is back in 12. Let's just go forward the 3 days, I think, and then have a little look from there. We win again. We are 15-0 on the season. This is absolutely insane. Right. Oh, okay, so we've got Birch out for a day. Do we actually have a game today? Of course we do. Okay. We've got an inbox message as well. Oh, team incident. Okay. White and Bledsoe are arguing with each other. That's not Not really surprising considering they're fighting for rotation minutes between each other. So Satoransky will come out and Bledsoe will take his minutes back, which I believe was something like this. So we need to find someone to take those minutes. Gafford will just come in and take those for now. And I believe that more or less puts our rotation back in place. So we'll go forward just the 1 day. And we suffer our first loss. So I think we are going to stop there for the episode in terms of getting through some of the games. Let's take a look at the performances so far. Wow, okay. Brandon Clark is just absolutely destroying everyone from what I can see. He's putting up 29 points in a game, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. Okay, Brandon Clark is just absolutely on fire. Let's take a look at the games that we've played so far, some of them. So in the first game of the season, Clark put up 40 points, 7 rebounds. Yeah, Payton's match shooting's actually been okay. Wow, okay, 54%. Wow, okay. Clearly he works really well in this offense. But in terms of results, let's have a look at the schedule again. So we beat the Pistons, we've beaten the Raptors, the Cavs, the Hawks. We managed to absolutely destroy the Hawks. That's a statement game. Obviously they're the one projected to win the Eastern Conference. Wow, okay, look, we're shooting 63%. And we're managing to hold them to 9 of 33 shooting from outside. Young pretty much was the only decent performer with Capella. And Collins was actually efficient, but not that great. Wow, okay, our rotation is looking pretty good at this stage. Let's take a little look at the stats, player stats. So we've got Satoransky hasn't played much. Kobe White's been playing a little bit off the bench. His numbers are definitely looking better. Obviously, it's very limited minutes, but 50% shooting, I'll certainly take that from him. Thaddeus Young, yeah, okay, he's not played that much really. Patrick Williams, what are your numbers like? 45%, okay, you've stepped up a little bit there. Still not that efficient, but 45% is a long way forward from when he was. When I think we first got him, he was like 30-something%. Bledsoe, yeah, your shooting numbers are down this season. But again, you're coming off the bench a little bit more than you probably have ever done, to be honest with you. Jackson Jr., 16-5 and 3, not bad. Shooting numbers are pretty much in line with where they have been for his other teams. That's not terrible. I mean, he's having to hit a couple more outside shots, but you know, given his outside shooting, that should normalise. Obviously, we talked about Brandon Clark. It's just been absolutely insane. Yeah, look at that. Just basically killing everyone in the paint. He's shooting like 80% in there, some areas. Wow. Okay, Clark, you're just looking like an absolute all-star at this stage. Jenkins has not played a single minute in the D-League, I don't think. We'll have to go and check that one out. I'd expect him to be playing some minutes down there. Elfrid Payton, we've talked about. Trent Jr., our free agency pickup. Shooting numbers are very good. That's exactly what we wanted him to do. Just make 3-point shots. That's kind of what we're paying him for. Birch, yeah, not playing a great deal. Your shooting numbers are still efficient. Oh, that's fine. Stevenson, you haven't played. Carter Jr., 16 and 10. That's pretty good numbers. Shooting wise, you're still in good place. And Gafford and then Hutchinson. So let's take a little look at the D League. I'm intrigued to see whether maybe the D League hasn't actually started yet. No, okay, the D League hasn't started yet. That's why they haven't actually played any games yet. But in terms of the standings, we are 15 and 1. Who on earth would have projected that to start the season? 15 and 1. And given the injuries we've had as well, we are the ranked first offensive team, just mainly because Brandon Clark has just been insane. Our defensive rating is 7th. We're the most efficient team. Wow, okay. We are off to an absolutely electric start in this second season with the Chicago Bulls team. Hopefully we can keep it up on the remaining episodes throughout the season. But interested to get your thoughts. I mean, Brandon Clark looking like a star, isn't he, really, at this stage? playing him out on the small forward, out in the wing position. We're not playing him in there. I mean, his size is pretty good for a wing, and he's certainly proving that he can do that position as well as anyone else, to be honest with you. But always interested in your thoughts. Cracking start to the season. Anything you think we can do in terms of rotations to players? If you're just impressed by how well Brandon Clark's been, like what I've just said, then interested in your thoughts. As always, guys, if you want to follow the episodes as they come out, hit the like and subscribe button, and you'll get them as they come out every single week.